My entitled coworker expected me to do his work because I have a family to take care of and you're just single. When I refused, he dumped his tasks on my desk and walked out, smirking, "The boss will blame you if it's not done." His confidence shattered when the manager walked in and announced, "Actually, I already checked the security footage, and you're the one getting written up." I work at a mid-sized tech company in Chicago. Our office is a modern open-plan space, bustling with the typical energy of a tech firm. Among my colleagues, there's one who stands out, not for his work ethic, but for his audacious sense of entitlement. Let's call him Mike. Mike is in his mid-30s, married with 2 young kids. He often talks about how challenging it is to balance work and family life. While I empathize with his situation, I can't help but notice how he uses it as a crutch to offload his responsibilities onto others, mainly me. I'm single, in my late 20s, and have been with the company for 5 years. I take pride in my work and have always been willing to help out when needed. However, Mike's demands have become increasingly unreasonable. It started subtly. Mike would ask for help with small tasks, citing family emergencies or childcare issues. I obliged, thinking I was being a supportive colleague. But soon, his requests escalated. He began delegating entire projects to me, always with the same justification: "I have a family to take care of, and you're just single." One Monday morning, Mike approached my desk with a stack of files. "Hey, can you handle these reports for me?" "I promised my wife I'd pick up the kids today," he said, placing the pile on my desk without waiting for a response. "Mike, I have my own workload to manage." "I can't keep taking on your tasks," I replied, trying to keep my frustration in check. He sighed, giving me a condescending look. "Come on, you know how it is. Family comes first." "You wouldn't understand." I clenched my jaw but stood firm. "I'm sorry, but I can't help you this time." Mike's expression darkened. He leaned in and whispered, "The boss will blame you if it's not done." With that, he turned on his heel and walked away, leaving me seething at my desk. I decided enough was enough. I wasn't going to let Mike manipulate me any longer. I documented every instance where he had offloaded his work onto me, noting dates, times, and the nature of the tasks. I also made sure to complete my assignments diligently, ensuring there was no reason for management to question my performance. A week later, our manager, Sarah, called a team meeting. Sarah is known for her no-nonsense attitude and keen sense of fairness. As we gathered in the conference room, Mike shot me a smug glance, as if he had already won whatever game he was playing. Sarah began, "I've noticed some discrepancies in workload distribution among the team. To address this, I've reviewed the security footage from the past few weeks." Mike's face paled slightly. She continued, "It's come to my attention that certain tasks have been reassigned without proper authorization. Specifically, Mike has been delegating his responsibilities to others without consent." Mike shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I can explain." Sarah held up a hand, silencing him. "There's no need. The evidence speaks for itself. Effective immediately, Mike, you'll be written up for misconduct. Further infractions will lead to more severe consequences." I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. Mike's confidence shattered before my eyes. He avoided me for days, no longer daring to dump his work on my desk. From that point on, the office dynamic shifted. Colleagues became more respectful of each other's workloads, and the toxic culture of exploitation began to dissolve. As for Mike, he kept his distance, and I finally felt the weight of undue responsibility lift off my shoulders. This experience taught me the importance of setting boundaries and standing up for oneself. No matter the circumstances, it's crucial to ensure that fairness and respect prevail in the workplace. So after Mike got written up, I thought things would finally settle. For about 2 weeks, they did. He didn't speak to me. Didn't look at me. He was polite in meetings, but that smug tone he always used, gone. I figured he got the message. Then stuff started happening. At first, it was small. A report I saved to the shared drive disappeared. I figured maybe I misnamed it or forgot to hit save. Then, a client emailed asking why I missed a deadline for a software patch I knew I sent out 2 days before. I had email proof. When I checked the logs, the files were gone. Deleted. Only my drafts remained. I started triple-checking everything. Passwords. Access logs. I even kept printed backups. Then I walked into the break room one morning and caught Mike talking to a new hire, loud enough that I was clearly meant to hear. "She's got a thing for being the office hero," he said, laughing. "Doesn't know how to keep her head down." The new hire looked awkward and just nodded, but I said nothing. I wasn't going to play into it. I started keeping a paper trail for everything. Notebooks. Timestamps. I even recorded myself sometimes explaining the tasks I'd done, just in case. Then came the big one. We were working on a major integration for a new client. It was the kind of project where if something failed, it'd be a disaster, not just for us, but the client's entire system. I was responsible for QA testing before launch. Mike was responsible for part of the code. The night before the final review, I stayed late and ran all the tests. Everything looked good. Clean. I left the office at 9 p.m. exhausted, but satisfied. Next morning, I walk in, and our project lead is freaking out. Sarah's there, too. Apparently, the code failed the QA, and the files I left last night were overwritten with an older, broken version. Sarah pulls me aside and asks if I made changes this morning. I told her no. I showed her my backup logs, screenshots, and timestamp notes. Everything. I saw her eyes shift like something clicked. She said, "Give me your badge." Not in a disciplinary way. She walked me to the security room. She used my badge to pull the logs. It showed I left the building at 9:13 p.m. No badge activity after that. Then she checked Mike's. He scanned in again at 11:02 p.m. after leaving at 6:30. She looked at me and just said, "Got it." Next thing I know, Mike is being called to HR. But here's the twist. Later that day, Mike wasn't at his desk. His computer was locked. HR didn't say anything. But I heard whispers. People were guessing fired? Suspended? Who knows? I was just trying to breathe again. Then, an email hit the company-wide list. It was from Mike. A farewell message. He wasn't apologizing. He wasn't even being professional. He went off about toxic environments and snitches and people pretending to be perfect while stabbing others in the back. He didn't name names, but the message was clear. It was about me. My phone buzzed nonstop. People forwarded the email. Someone even printed it and taped it in the break room. It was humiliating. That night, I got home and found a handwritten note slid under my apartment door. "I'm not done." No name. No signature. My building had cameras. I called the front desk. They checked the footage. Clear as day, Mike. Hood up, but the way he moved, same walk, same shoes. Security called the cops. They said they'd take a report, but unless something physical happened, not much they could do. So now I'm here, documenting everything again. Tired. On edge. Watching my back. And he's still out there. A few days after the letter under my door, things got quiet again. Unsettling quiet. I stopped seeing anything weird at work. No more missing files. No more strange bugs in the system. It almost felt like maybe that note was just a last desperate move from Mike, a way to scare me. Then I noticed someone was trying to log in to my work accounts at weird hours. I'd get security emails about failed login attempts from random IPs, some local, some out of state. IT brushed it off as bots at first. But I knew better. So I pushed to get multi-factor authentication, changed every password I had, and even started using a separate laptop just for work tasks at home. My anxiety was up and I was barely sleeping. One night I was working late at the office. It was a Thursday. Nearly 9 p.m. The floor was mostly empty except for a few lights in the distance. I was finishing up some testing when the lights flickered. Not unusual, it's an old building. But I heard the soft chime of the elevator opening. I didn't think anything of it until I saw someone walk past the glass conference room. It was quick. A blur. Hoodie jeans. The same walk again. I froze. Stared at the hallway. Nothing. Then footsteps. Slow, casual, like they knew where they were going. I packed up fast. As I walked toward the elevator, I took a detour to the emergency exit stairs. That's when I passed the front lobby and saw security already at the front desk, talking to someone. It was Mike. Again. He wasn't yelling. Wasn't being aggressive. Just standing there like he belonged. Apparently, he told security he was picking up something he left. Claimed he had permission from IT. He didn't. His badge was still deactivated. HR got involved the next day. Sarah looked tired, more tired than usual. She told me he wasn't just let go. There had been a quiet investigation after the login attempts, and legal had been building a case. But now that he'd shown up at the building again, it was serious. They filed a restraining order. I didn't even know a company could do that, but apparently they can if someone keeps accessing the property after termination. Then came the next twist. A month later, my name started popping up in industry forums. At first, it was just a comment on a Reddit post. Don't work with my first name, huge backstabber. Then a thread showed up under a fake account talking about how I'd sabotaged a coworker to steal a promotion. It was filled with lies, worded just vaguely enough to avoid breaking any rules, but specific enough that people who knew me could tell who it was about. Someone even made a burner LinkedIn and connected with my colleagues, posting fake stories about toxic women in tech. Photoshopped screenshots, stuff I never said, never did. I reported everything. But the damage wasn't easy to undo. People started looking at me differently. A few coworkers kept their distance. One friend at another company messaged me asking, "Hey, is this stuff about you? Should I be worried?" The stress was eating me alive. My therapist said it was harassment. My lawyer said it was defamation. But proving who was behind it was hard. All the accounts were using VPNs. All the evidence pointed to someone with a grudge. No smoking gun. Until one day, a mistake happened. Mike forgot to blur his reflection in a photo he posted on one of those burner accounts. It was a shot of a keyboard with a caption like, "This is where the real work happens, not like some people." And there, in the screen reflection of the laptop monitor, was part of his face. Glasses, the edge of his hoodie, the angle of his jaw. If you knew him, you knew it was him. I sent it to Sarah and to our legal department. They moved fast. Real fast. That's when things got even messier. Turns out Mike hadn't just been messing with me. He had been running some sort of weird revenge campaign against a few people from past jobs too. Forums, reviews, burner messages. He was obsessive. Legal said he was now officially being investigated for cyber harassment across multiple jurisdictions. I gave a statement to a detective. Real, not a company rep. He asked me about everything, Mike's behavior at work, the deleted files, the fake accounts, the night he came to the office. They were building a larger case now. And still, no closure. He hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been charged. But now I get updates from the police every couple of weeks. I installed cameras at home. I check over my shoulder a lot more. I used to come in early. Now I don't arrive until 9 a.m. sharp, and I leave with someone else if I'm staying late. Sarah told me last week, "You're not the only person he's done this to." And I can't stop thinking, what happens if he decides he's not done again? The weeks dragged on. I kept trying to live normal. Go to work, do my job, pretend like I wasn't being stalked online by a guy I used to sit 2 desks away from. The post slowed down, then stopped altogether. I thought maybe he got scared once the police got involved. Maybe he was finally moving on. But then, something strange happened. My work computer crashed. Completely dead. IT said it looked like a hardware issue, but when they opened it up, they found something they didn't expect. Someone had installed a small USB keylogger behind the hard drive casing. It wasn't company issued. It wasn't logged anywhere. The logs showed it had been active for weeks. Even after he was fired. That meant he'd had access to my system somehow, even after the badge was shut down. IT checked everything. Security footage. Access logs. The only time he could have planted it? That night he slipped in past security and claimed to be picking something up. While I was still in the building. Sarah went white when she heard. The company freaked out. Legal went into full lockdown. The police took everything, my laptop, the device, even the CCTV tapes. That was the final straw. The next day, a full arrest warrant was issued for Mike. They raided his apartment. Found multiple hard drives, burner phones, notebooks. Names. Notes. Maps. Some of it was about me. Some of it? Other people. People from years ago. The detective called me that night. Told me he had a list. My stomach dropped. In his apartment, they also found evidence he had been planning to apply for jobs at companies I had connections to, startups where old coworkers of mine had moved. It was like he wanted to keep popping up in my life no matter where I went. Like his goal wasn't to get even, it was to make sure I never moved on. But here's where I made my mistake. I didn't tell anyone that I once joked, stupidly, casually, months ago, about how Mike wasn't cut out for tech. It was at happy hour. I didn't even think he heard it. I had just gotten a small raise, and someone asked how I was climbing up so fast. I said, half laughing, maybe it's because I'm not sitting around whining about my wife and kids all day like Mike does. I didn't mean it to be cruel. I didn't even remember saying it. But apparently, someone else did. And they told him. That was the moment everything changed for him. The moment I went from being a helpful coworker to being the villain in his twisted little world. And I said it. I gave him the match. I lit the fuse. I confessed it to Sarah when things started to calm down. She didn't yell. She didn't defend him either. She just sighed and said, "Doesn't mean you deserved any of what he did." But yeah, words matter. Mike ended up taking a plea deal. He confessed to cyberstalking, corporate sabotage, and harassment. He avoided jail, but got 5 years probation, no internet access outside work-supervised settings, and was banned from working in the tech field again. Ever. They said his wife left him, took the kids, moved across the country. People think that's where it ends. That he got what he deserved and I got to move on. But the truth is, I didn't win. Not really. I check every locked door twice now. I stopped posting on social media. I keep a burner email for job hunting. I still get the occasional anonymous message, just enough to wonder if it's him, even if it's probably not. Some nights I lie awake, replaying that joke in my head. Wondering if I'd just shut up that one day, maybe none of this would have happened. Maybe he'd still be annoying but harmless. But then I remember the look in his eyes the night he walked back into the office like nothing had happened. He made his choices. And I made mine.